trained for. It was, this is a prototype which had maybe 11 different patches of wall types. It was very much used as a research tool to base like build quantities on, to build, to say, okay, so it takes so many time, it takes so many resources, because if you implement a program for 4,000 or 7,000 shelters, it will mean so much on resource management. And of course, if you build it the way they build in the vernacular, like for example with glissade they call it, made out of palm trees, it will just mean if you implement these kind of wall types, that will just the last nice palm trees that are there will be eliminated. That's for sure. It was definitely also based as a communication tool to talk with people and to show them, here you see what is possible. And how do you do such a small research? It's just very much based on what you see around, and then you redesign what you see around you. So based on the vernacular, based on what is done before in urban emergencies or emergencies. Just ask Hank or Jim, how did you do it in the previous emergency? Make stuff permanent, and they give you directions, and also look around you what other people are doing. This networking is so important. Networking between international NGOs, local NGOs, governments, to see what is going on in such a complex situation. Everybody's doing their own will, or their own what they think is good. You also try to bring up arguments when you are implementing such a thing. This states something about the sustainability. I just gave it very subjective points. It has also a column with also different criteria on vulnerability. So it is in the column of vulnerability. I gave points for stuff as how well does it withstand cyclones, or there are a lot of termites there, or break-in. So how well protected are you if you build this? But also sustainability, like in the column of people, adaptation, acceptation, do they know it already, the people, maintenance, very clear. Stuff on the ecological side, eco-load, durability, but I gave it just indicator points, but it gives you like a tool set or an argumentation set to base how do you call it, decisions on, or just, it's just the way we learn here in this faculty. You analyze, and you need to convince. You convince by making arguments. And you see there are different scores to get out of it. So for example, this is their vernacular, and it gets low scores on sustainability, for example, out of 21 points. Well, it will possibly be because the materials are not sustainably sourced, and this is then a redesign of it, make it with imported construction wood. And you see the vulnerability, the sustainability score ends up a little bit higher. A technique we used in Aceh, very commonly used also in the ship building, ferrocement. So you have like chain link fencing in plaster, like a small layer of mortar on it, and you finish it off with a non-structural layer. And then try it also again with because this material you directly import, it's no choice about it. But these materials, it's like local bamboo, and I don't know if at that scale I could source it sustainable, but I know that I could bring up just a livelihood in, because this is what people do already. They make these kind of materials for fishery, and that's the way you can think. Or the way people build. They use infill in their buildings, infill of rocks, river rocks. Why don't you use just the old building? I just asked can you, on a local mason, can you just do exactly this, but then with piece of debris of the building next to it? Yeah, no problem. Just without any, I didn't even have to explain. Yeah, of course that gets a great score. But then the question again is, can you implement it on a large scale because you want result? Fairly after this research, I went home. It was maybe 6 months after, and yeah, we built already a lot of houses. I think around 8,000, 1,200, something like that. And we started thinking, can we make this permanent wall thing work? And I also said, yeah, I mean, here you come. I come from an academic background with. I understand sustainability, especially in this low-tech level, because it's so tangible where it's about materials, about the people you want to help. So I said to Courage, maybe I can return in a more advisory role, or a role that is a little bit in the middle. In the middle of the Coordate organization, where all these different areas can have like one central point, or where the shelter program manager, in this case Henk, also has a central point or a right hand, or where the other part of the organization of Coordate, which is like logistics, administrative, also have like a spider in a web, because if you ask logistics to buy you a bag of cement, most of the time they don't even know what cement is. It's not that they're shelter-minded or have a background in building. You know, logistics is about sourcing. It's like a boodschappendoen for people. And also and all the actors involved, they tell so much, and when there's not space within these different job descriptions, for example, you have somebody who's dealing with a certain area, and he hears something from his community, but he doesn't have time to do something with it, because he's busy managing an area which is incredibly demanding already. So it was this second mission it just grew a little bit like a spider. That's why also you can really do a lot, I think. For example, on sourcing technical assistance, if you're gonna buy really large quantities of materials, I mean, it makes such a difference if you're for example assisting such a logistical department. Where can you get your materials from? Where does the supplier get his materials from? You know, or else it just gets taken from the country. I mean, the biggest damages after urban emergencies is also again the damage of an environment. Can't we do that smarter? I helped on training the local bosses who already have, of course, a big responsibility within communities to rebuild those houses. But they didn't understand why these buildings collapse so easily. So, and also, I wanted that they give like a certain quality back to our shelter. So we organized training courses. Together with a partner again. In the end, I think after 2 months, I finished like a tool set for all these areas that they can use to order materials, that they could complain about materials, how the bosses get paid, and of course it's very much a collaboration. Yeah, now there's like a process designed, which incorporates all these different, we call it push and pull factors, which is implemented by all these area managers. And it just makes from this transitional shelter a permanent shelter in the end. Where like you can make a very beautiful house, of course, maybe even better than before. And I think this strategy of this transitional shelter is very effective. It's very effective in an area where you can do this, where you have the space, where it fits the typology. But you see directly that you cannot just start building here, because you need to think about, this house maybe also collapsed then on the investment you made, or you first have to remove the rubble, or you have to stabilize the ground. So then it starts raining, so you have to think integral for this kind of environment. And then you think back on the mandate of Corde, and it's a very actual question. Like the question that Corde is now really struggling with. Shit, the people of Holland, they asked us, or we have money for 8,000 shelters, including 2,000 repairs or something. A lot of money. And there is a certain strategic direction, and we have set it up. We have finally conquered the logistical system of Haiti, which is also them rather well thing. But if we want to implement in these urban areas, it just means that you have to extend your mandate or not, or you're just gonna do it. It's very much a question of course, how and will they do it? Because you see here directly, it's just very difficult to fit one strategy in an urban reality, which serves a total different typology of confined masonry. And maybe more important, the question is that if you have an exit strategy, and you leave this kind of houses, these kind of houses, you leave them behind. Well, is it replicable? Will they learn something from this? That are the questions, because that's what you want. That if you leave, that they would build back better. That there would be an environment which is fundamentally better. And you know already that you cannot help everybody, so it's something to bear in mind. I tried together with Henk to force fit this strategy also, to, for example, invent like an urban shelter with a 1 meter wide panel, so it can be narrower, because on the plots you have there, you can have a more narrow but longer structure. We made the panels all interchangeable, so people can choose where they have their windows or their doors. It's a very, it is all aimed at serving more beneficiaries, but is it the solution? I think, the key challenge recorded is now also very much thinking. You see these urban areas, and you see that people from the moment on before this organization went on, they already started, of course, thinking through building, setting aside a little bit of their money to start with a floor, for example, and it's just a process. It's a process of building your own dome bank. Is it not better just to really support these people on this self-building and just focus mainly on that, on bringing knowledge in, instead of bringing the solution in. You could do great things if you, for example, are the material supplier, that you give for a certain quality or a certain price your materials out. You can also, it's a push factor for recycling, for example. Because all these plots are full of rubble, and rubble is maybe a negative word because it's just materials. key challenge is how do you remove it? How do you manage this on removing